Well, coming up on Currently, Beth gives us an update on the latest City Commission news. Sugarloaf has a new future. Bill Froehlich shares the latest from Lansing about the education budget, plus much more. That's all ahead on Currently. Welcome to Currently, where we discuss some of the top local stories directly from the journalists who are covering them. I'm your host, Christal Frost. We have a great show for you. Beth Milligan, head writer for Traverse City Ticker, is here along with returning guest, the powerhouse of 9 and 10 News, Bill Froehlich. Now, this podcast was recorded on Thursday, July 24th. The Tigers are 60-43. That said, things may change by the time you're watching or listening. Support for Currently comes from Golden-Fowler Home Furnishings, located on South Garfield Avenue in Traverse City. It's home fashion elevated. And from West Shore Bank. When you choose West Shore Bank, you're not just choosing a bank. You're choosing a partner that's committed to the well-being of our community. You can visit them today on 8th Street or at westshorebank.com. Support also comes from the Coin Slot Arcade Bar in Traverse City. It's a chill hangout with a full bar in a low-key setting. Well, hi.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having us.
We're here.
Bill, Beth, hey.
Hey, everybody.
It's so great.
Other than the Tigers losing 9 out of the last 10,
I don't want to talk about
we
it,
still
Bill.
talk about the record that's better than.
Why do you bring that
still
negative juju?
I
mean, we're taking on the Jays tonight.
I know.
The Jays are doing better than we are right now.
Well, let's not get into that. Why do you have to bring that up?
I don't know. Now I'm just negative. I don't want to do the show anymore.
They'll turn it around.
Well, I was going to say, we'll get this back on the right track here
I
one time.
love it. Fantastic. Well, we're going to start with a story that I know was just thrilling to read about. This is such big news for not just Leelanau County. I mean, really anyone who has any memories of Sugarloaf, anyone who enjoys, conservation, the outdoors, anyone who's watched that property over the last few decades, then just said, what's going to happen with this? And it has had quite an interesting story, and what a happy ending. So, Beth, this is something that you were sitting on for quite a while.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. So because I write for the Traverse City Ticker, I write exclusively for the Traverse City Ticker. I don't cover Leelanau County. That's our colleagues at the Leelanau Ticker, who we've had on the show before. So I tend to concentrate most of my volunteer work in Leelanau County because I know I won't have any conflict of interest working out there since I don't cover it. So one of the organizations that I volunteer with a lot is the Leelanau Conservancy, which I just think is a fantastic organization doing great work, as many of the conservancy orgs up here do. And yes, this was news that we knew about for a while, some longer than others, some of the staff and volunteers, but absolutely sworn to secrecy on. And we're so excited to share. So this was shared at a fundraising gathering last week of the Conservancy publicly for the first time. And then, of course, immediately came out in many media places, including the Leelanau Ticker. My colleague Craig Manning wrote this story. But yes, the Conservancy is in the process of acquiring Sugarloaf. The property has been closed for 25 years to the public, closed in 2000. A couple of years ago, it's gone through quite a revolving door of characters who have owned the property, I will say. We've seen some developers come and go with big promises that never materialized, and the property has just kind of quietly sat. A few years ago, a new ownership group took over. They are anonymous. We don't know even if it's a single individual or multiple individuals, but they operate under the name SPV 45. They bought the property and have been quietly, they did some demolition work of some of the old buildings, quietly getting it ready. And then, as Tom Nelson, the Conservancy director, described, made a call through a representative to the Conservancy with this kind of incredible offer of, if the Conservancy felt they could commit to bringing the property back to life, they would gift the property to the Conservancy. So this is probably, a property that could be upwards of $15 million in value. I mean, it's just it's recreational, it's developable. And so for that donation to be made is an incredible financial gift. And since then, in the last few years, the Conservancy has been working with this donor to figure out exactly what the agreement will look like. So the Conservancy's commitment was that it would raise $8 million, not to go to the purchase price of the property, but to implement the site plan. So I think SPV 45 wanted to ensure that this property could truly be managed and brought back to life by the Conservancy, and that $8 million commitment shows, the Conservancy's ability to do that. So they are $6.4 million already towards that goal through a quiet fundraising phase. And now they're going to the public through the end of this year. They're trying to raise the remaining $1.6 million. If they're able to do that successfully, the property will be transferred to the Conservancy. They'll, hopefully have it in early 2026 and be able to start doing the site improvements, which include hiking and mountain biking trails, cross-country skiing, snowshoeing. There's a plan for a sledding hill, an ice skating rink in the winter, and a gradual trail to the summit, which if people who skied at Sugarloaf in the past, it has incredible views of Leelanau County from the top of Sugarloaf.
I mean, to be $1.6 million away from this there's just, I will have to, I'm assuming that they're already very close. The level of excitement, not just from the people who are there in that, at that fundraiser, but this is a story that was shared, thousands of times.
Yeah.
You've had thousands of views. You've had tons of just positive comments of people saying, yay, this is happening. And this is the kind of thing that I think people want to get involved in, right?
I think so. And I think it's important to say, so if you go to the Leelanau Conservancy's website, which is leelanauconservancy.org /Sugarloaf, you can donate directly to that specific project if you want to support it. And I think it's important to note that while the Conservancy is a very serious organization and has already raised, a significant part of the fundraising goal, there is still this, goal to meet.
Yes.
So it's not a given. And if the community cares and wants to donate, they can and should certainly do that to ensure that they meet that goal. But the plans for the property aren't just recreational, though there's going to be a lot of that, including the ability for people to hike up on their own power and downhill ski in the winter. There won't be a running ski lift. That's really kind of outside of the mission of the Conservancy. But people could do that on their own power. But there's also a lot of ecological plans for the property. So plans for like a native flower and plant garden, doing some invasive species remediation. There's lots of educational chances on that property in addition to just making it available to the public again and having like a universal accessible loop. So when Tom Nelson spoke about this project, he spoke about, I think very movingly for people in the audience, about this property being, a place that is not just enjoyed by the few, by the rich who, might be able to afford it for a development, but by everyone, the public again.
For everyone, forever.
Yes.
That's that's just a beautiful thing to say. And like you said, leelanauconservancy.org /Sugarloaf. There is a community information session that's coming up on August 5th. You can sign up on that website. That's happening at Glen Arbor Township Hall as well. So, make your voice heard. And, if you are in a position to donate, this is a pretty cool thing to donate to.
Yeah, it's a great project.
Yeah, love that. So we're going to be very much switching gears here, going from conservation and nature to city news and some updates and, the city commission. And you had a very... this was a packed story.
There's a lot going on this week. Yeah.
There was a lot going on. First and foremost, we do have to say, we talked about this last week, but Benjamin Marentet has been appointed officially as interim city manager, right?
Yes. So he is now serving as city manager. He will be in that position, barring any unforeseen changes through the end of January, giving time for the new commission to come in this fall, which we can talk about just in a second. And then Deputy City Clerk Sarah Lutz has now been appointed to be city clerk in the interim.
She's fantastic.
Yeah. Two great promotions there.
We went to high school together.
Oh, did you?
Yes, we did. So I'm just like, I know her.
So they're in those capacities now. They'll again serve until a permanent city manager is hired. Benjamin Marentet did say this week at the city commission that he intends to apply for that role.
Oh, good.
Permanently, although Mayor Amy Shamrow has also pointed out that no matter what, even if Benjamin does a fantastic job and the commission all feels like they would like him to stay in that role, there still will be a public posting of that position.
For sure.
A public process, because that is a very, high profile position. But he will be there for now. And I think it's important to note, because there have been so many questions before, since he was offered the position of city manager before Liz Vogel took it, he turned it down. He did speak this week, at times a little bit emotionally, about the process that he had gone through. He acknowledged some of the, I think, fears and hesitations he had before about taking on this role. He has done he's done a lot of leadership training, including at Harvard. He's gone through professional coaching, and he really talked about learning how to enforce work-life boundaries, which as someone who has covered many, many city managers and county administrators, it's a very high-stress position. You're in the public eye. You're dealing with the media, but also with, residents day in, day out at the grocery store. Oftentimes unhappy or complaining about things. It's a lot of stress, and we've seen that not everyone is fitted to that or wants to handle that. Even Amy talked about that as well, looking for someone in that next role who can really be maybe emotionally prepared to take that on. I just thought it was noteworthy that because of what Benjamin had been through before of turning it down, that he specifically called that right out and said he felt like he was ready now. Yeah,
I'm really grateful that he did that too, because I'm sure that there were people who had those questions swirling. But there's other city commission news, and I do want to just kind of shift gears over into talking about that new city commission that could be in place this November. There are 7 candidates who filed to run for the 4 open seats. Tell us more.
Yeah, so the 4 open seats include the 1 mayoral seat and then 3 city commission seats. So there was a filing deadline on Tuesday at 4:00. So we had 7 candidates by that deadline. There will be 2 people running for mayor this fall. So we have Amy Shamrow, who's the incumbent, seeking a second term as mayor. And then Tim Werner, who is on the city commission right now. He has decided to challenge Amy in that race. So it'll be the 2 of them going head to head. We do, if you go to traversticker.com, we do have profiles of them and them talking about some of the issues and why they wanted to run, if you'd like to get more background. Because you can't run for both city commission and mayor, you can only run for one or the other. Whoever loses that mayoral race will be off the commission.
Okay.
And then the other 3 seats that are open, My Stanley and Mark Wilson are not seeking re-election, so they will be off the board this fall. And then Tim, of course, his seat is up, and he's moving over to the mayor race. So we have some folks who've run for office before and some new folks. So we have profiles of all these candidates, but I'll just quickly mention their names. So Lance Bomer, here in Traverse City, been active in many local organizations as a Traverse Heights homeowner. He's been on the Beta Board and some other organizations. Ken Funk, firefighter and paramedic with the Traverse City Fire Department. Mary Mills, who has, she's been a volunteer of the year with United Way, served on the master plan leadership team for the city. And then Laura Ness and Peter Schaus. Laura Ness is very involved with Hickory Hills, Preserve Hickory, the Rec Authority. She went through the City Academy, so very active in city and other volunteer opportunities. And then Peter Schaus is owns a local hospitality company with his wife here in town and also serves on the Empire Planning Commission. So we have full profiles of those candidates you can find more online, but they will all be on the ballot on November 4th with 3 of the 5 moving on to serve on the commission.
Well, obviously, no matter how this shakes up, that's going to be a different city commission.
It's going to be a different, for sure. Yeah. At least 2 new people on the board.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we're going to talk to Bill about some news coming up, including the lawmakers' delay of the state budget approval for the state education budget. That's going to happen in just a few here. But first, a word for Golden-Fowler Home Furnishings. And, I've said this for a while, but I don't think that furniture is just something that we sit on. I always think about furniture when I think about my grandparents and when I think about growing up. And I think about, we all had that funky wood-based couch that had the the cushions that, were like orange. I know we've all had that couch, right? And you have the memories of this furniture. It's not just something that you sit on. It's where life happens. It's where you gather for those big, messy family dinners. It's where your kids and your grandkids sprawl out on the couch after school. It's where you rock your newborn to sleep while reading Goodnight Moon for the 100th time. Furniture is the backdrop for the most meaningful moments of our lives, so you can make sure it's worthy of the stories you're telling at home. Golden-Fowler Home Furnishings has been a part of our stories for 65 years as Traverse City's original furniture store. Now, people all over northern Michigan love Golden-Fowler for their exceptional customer service, their incredible selection, and the kind of expert help that makes furnishing your home feel effortless. So when you're ready, visit the place that's been helping us feel at home for generations. Golden-Fowler Home Furnishings on Garfield Avenue in Traverse City. It's furniture that you'll love to come home to. All right, we are going to hand it over to our buddy Bill. Billy boy, what is going on with those rascally lawmakers in Lansing?
You know, one of the challenges that lawmakers and districts have always had is that their budget seasons don't line up.
Yeah.
School districts have to have their budget in July. Lawmakers have October to get everything finalized. So a lot of times school districts historically have been waiting. This is not a brand new problem.
Right.
But there was several years back, there was a concerted effort by lawmakers to say, let's get this done for the education budget specifically.
Like someone just said, here's a calendar.
Right. So what a concept. Let's get this done, by June 30th so school districts can make a plan.
Sure.
Honestly, even that would not be enough time for a July 1st budget, but we get the point of what they were going for. But anyway, this year it's one of those times when they just don't have it done. $21 billion. They have to figure out how to allot that. Republicans want XYZ. Democrats want ABC. And they just have to figure out what it's going to look like. And they just don't know yet. So school districts are waiting.
I mean, what happens to school districts if, you get into August, September, and they still don't have a budget?
In most cases, and in TCAP's case, we talked with Dr. John Van Wagner, and they have a general framework of where things are going.
Okay.
And he says, ideally, we'll get more than what we're budgeting for in a perfect world, but we're picking a number. We're going to budget based on this. And if come November we find out we have more, it's kind of the cherry on top. It's the bonus. But they at least have an idea of where things are headed. And they just have to kind of go with the flow. But as we know with every organization, sometimes budgets change mid-cycle anyway.
It happens.
So they're just going to have to lay it out as best they can for now.
Right.
And see how it shakes out come October, November.
So, I mean, it's delayed right now into next week.
At the earliest.
At the earliest. Yeah. Likelihood is that it probably won't see any sort of... see any sort of action next week.
Yeah, I mean, there was. It wasn't even on the. As we're recording this on a Thursday, it wasn't even on today's calendar for the State House.
Yeah.
They are meeting today, but it's not on the calendar. So they're back in session. I believe it's next week, Tuesday. Yep. But again, it doesn't mean they're going to have it resolved in a day either.
No.
And then we're looking into August before they're back in session, along with the Senate. Again, you're predicting multiple days of discussion and debate. I mean, it very easily could be September at the earliest. So
all right,
we're just along for the ride, as is the case so often.
And I know you will keep us up to date at 9 and 10 News and 9and10news.com.
For sure.
We're going to move on to, I mean, this is just a terrible tragedy that you covered. Your reporter Jody covered this small plane crash that claimed the lives of 2 northern Michigan men. I mean, what happened? Yeah,
this was obviously, like you said, a sad story. And we've got news partners across the state and down in Grand Rapids. So it's kind of a conglomeration of efforts. But, we found out that these were 2 men from northern Michigan, from Presque County, one of them from Presque, one of them from Rogers City. And both, according to a friend, both experienced pilots, good friends. They'd taken off. One of them had taken off from Alpena, went to Escoda to pick up, the other, and they still don't know what happened. But it just crashed in Lowell, which is about 20 miles outside of Grand Rapids. That the plane went down, and there is video out there, which we've shared of, you can see the plane actually going down, and that's just heartbreaking. Yeah,
I mean, my goodness,
it really is. It's it banks sharply and just goes down. It's not just like a soft glide, so we just don't know what happened. And one of the frustrating things, just from many people's perspectives, I think, is, well, the NTSB is on the scene, and now we wait 2 years.
Yeah.
Preliminary results in 6 months, and then a year they have a report, and then it's another year for a final report. So
you won't know.
We won't know. But, we get some of those early indications after a couple months, and I would say, I don't want to put a percentage on it, but the majority of the time, the preliminary assessments are fairly similar to what the end results are. Yeah, I mean, there are obviously exceptions to that, but so we'll be watching for that. But obviously, when we hear a story like that, and then later we find out there's a northern Michigan connection, then we're trying to get on the ball and figure out what those connections are. And I mean, from Presque County and Alpena, that's just a little bit out of our primary coverage area for 9 and 10. So it's not necessarily something where we would drive up there to that community and try to cover that on an in-depth level. But that could have been anywhere. It could have been 2 people from Charlevoix or Traverse City or Cadillac or any of those communities. So
very true.
Those are just some of the things we try to balance and juggle as we're trying to find out all the information and whatnot. But a lot of the reporting comes from witnesses on the ground who saw the plane go down and who were able to talk about their friends who they knew were pilots. And, they don't even know at this point, they don't even know which one of them was doing the flying.
Oh my gosh.
From, I think it was Oscoda to Lowell.
Yeah.
That second leg of the trip. So lots of questions to be unanswered or to be answered. And frankly, maybe they do know and they just haven't said yet. So we're just kind of in that waiting game. Like with Lansing, we're just in that waiting game of trying to figure out what do we actually know? When are we going to really know the details? And sometimes that's part of news too, is we have to tell you what we don't know.
Well, speaking of covering news, it's always happening. It feels like it happens all the time. I know for a fact that I've seen Beth Milligan, maybe 7, 8 o'clock at night, covering a story that has just happened. And sometimes there are updates to stories and the details are still murky. So what do we know about whether there will, in fact, be a pedestrian bridge still standing or a new one coming? The DNR has put out a little bit of information, but what's happening there, Beth?
Yeah. Well, it's a complicated story, and I think it got complicated by the way that it's been covered so far. There was a local news story that Betsy Kofia had spoke with a director of the DNR, and that he had confirmed in writing to her that there would be a replacement bridge for the pedestrian bridge by the Traverse City State Park. That she told us that she was intending to hold him to that. to commit this commitment that she said he made to put a new ADA bridge up, which a lot of people have not wanted to see the current pedestrian bridge come down. They would like to see some kind of bridge remain. I will say that since then, the story has become more complicated. I've spoke with people at the DNR today. We expect more comment to come maybe by the time the show is released. That is walking that back a little bit. What I have heard is the current bridge is coming down no matter what. That is part of an ARPA project. It was recently damaged by a truck. The damage has now made the DNR have to do one of two things. They're going to have to patch it soon because there's a risk if the bridge is hit again by a vehicle that perhaps something could fall or it would be structurally unsound. What I heard from the DNR today is the bridge is not going to reopen to pedestrians ever at all. It'll either be repaired to kind of hang on until a demolition happens in the future, or they're going to move up the demolition. The bridge could come out soon. Yeah. So that is still going to happen. The question of the new bridge is an open one. So again, Betsy was sharing texts and written confirmation from Scott Bowen, the head of the DNR, saying we're going to work on a bridge. The people I spoke with at the DNR today said where that bridge would be located, how much that bridge would cost,
how's it going to pay for it,
how it would be funded are all very open questions. So I heard some communication from the DNR that they're open to working with the community on possibilities, whether it's assisting within a design process or exploring options. But I did not hear a firm committal from the people that I spoke with the DNR today that, yes, a bridge is going to happen and it's going to happen immediately after the old bridge comes down.
Right.
Because keep in mind what we talked about in the show before, too, is that the challenge with going in the exact same location is, one, the DNR doesn't own all of the property on both sides of the bridge. So there's right-of-way issues, like how much runway do you need, especially for an ADA-compliant bridge. You need a long kind of ramp going up to it. The other issue is that new traffic light that's going in where the bridge is coming down. There are sightline issues with putting a bridge up right there. So there are properties for sale along that corridor where maybe like an empty vacant parcel, maybe that could be the location of at least part of the bridge if they can work with a property owner on the other side. But again, there are so many questions that would have to be answered about that before that project can move forward.
Well, and I know you're going to have a full, complete story about this. And Bill, I'm sure you guys are going to be covering it as well.
Yeah, I was going to say too, and I had talked to Representative John Roth this morning, and he was disappointed, I guess would be a safe word to say, about how this had come out to other sources, not yours or ours, of how Betsy Kofia had shared this conversation from her perspective with the DNR. And John Ross said, I talked to the DNR on Wednesday, and this is absolutely not what they told me, that they are very open to this possibility, but we have to figure out how to pay for it. We have to figure out what the blueprint would be, what the plan would be, where the money would come from. The state would have to allot more money for it. So this is not at all a done deal. So he was saying that reporting that you and I, both saw is erroneous, and that's his perspective on it. But likewise, we'll be talking with both sides today in the DNR and having that on 9 and 10 News as well. So that's part of the challenge, is just the breaking news element of it, and kind of getting that double confirmation, which is something that we do in journalism quite regularly of, okay, somebody has said it, but now someone else has to confirm it.
Right. And even, a commitment of, yes, we're interested in partnering on a bridge or working on a bridge is, very different than getting to the place where that is realized for all the factors that we talked about. And just to put it in perspective, when I talked to Casey Klein at the DNR today, who's one of our representatives for DNR up here, she mentioned that the DNR's entire capital budget next year is $1 million. Yeah. This bridge, now, one time the cost estimate was as high as $20 million. I've seen revised estimates now that are more in the $7 to $8 million range for a potential new bridge. But even so, that's 7 to 8 times of the entire statewide budget for the DNR for a capital project next year. So there are potential funding mechanisms. There could be grants. There could be private investment. The East Bay Township is looking at doing essentially a TIF district in that area. Maybe tax capture could do something like this in the long term. But again, so many questions. I would caution people listening to the show that I think we're still a long way from knowing what that would look like.
Absolutely. 100%. Well said. Thank you so much for that. And, before we go, what are you looking forward to this week?
Well, I am I think I'm going to spend some time in my garden this weekend. Nice. I know that's like a simple one, but working on the house and garden, because it's been, you and I have talked constant shows and events all summer. And sometimes you just need a quiet weekend.
Sometimes you just have to keep that calendar space, right?
Yeah.
Spare the square. Yeah. In the calendar. Bill, I know this is a struggle for you. Are you just a fly by the seat of your pants kind of guy?
I really am.
You're I have nothing.
Whatever comes about. But I have some ideas.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of movies. So I still have on my list the new Jurassic Park I haven't seen.
Oh, yeah.
The new Superman.
Yeah.
And then we're right around the corner from the brand new Naked Gun movie, which I was a huge fan of growing up.
Totally, yeah.
So I'm very cautiously optimistic about that one.
What number is this one? Is it just Naked Gun?
They're just calling it Naked Gun, but technically it's 4.
4, right?
Right.
Because there was 1, and then there was 2.5 and 33 1/3.
You are correct.
See, I'm a fan too.
I'm so proud of you.
You love it in the big screen, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
gotta watch
Plus, with the heat wave and the humidity in the next several days, an air-conditioned sound pretty good.
Sounds fantastic.
So I can take that. But for the next week, if things cool down, we interviewed Double L Farms in Cadillac, blueberry farm down there. So I may go do some you-pick blueberries when the weather breaks a little.
And make a pie?
And take it to the theater and stick the pie in my pocket. And you just never know. Pie for weeks. Think of any movies I can watch.
That is probably one of the weirder things you could smuggle into a movie theater, right?
It probably is.
I love it. Right. Well, I'm excited. You and I will be back on Monday at the TC Phil Harmonic Show at the Civic Center Amphitheater. And that's happening Monday night. It's Beethoven and Tchaikovsky. And you can go to tcphil.org for tickets, and you can see us, and we might, sell you a beverage.
Sell you a beverage.
And sign autographs.
I guess get your currently autographs at the TC Phil concert.
It's so much fun. I love the outdoor space at the Civic Center. So lots of fun there. And thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Crystal.
Another wonderful show. We're back next Friday with a classic Christal and Beth show. Woo, woo, woo. Be sure to subscribe to the show on all platforms at crystalfrost.com. You can follow us on social media and subscribe to Currently with Christal Frost wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch the full show in color on YouTube and Facebook. Currently is a Compass local podcast produced by Pancake Boy Productions. Big thanks to our lead supporter, Golden-Fowler Home Furnishings, in addition to West Shore Bank and the Coin Slot. And speaking of the Coin Slot, live music, pinball tournaments, an incredible selection of beer, and ice cream just around the corner. That's why the Coin Slot is so quickly becoming a favorite hangout for all of Northern Michigan. We'll see you next week. Thanks for hanging out.